What's up, guys? I want to introduce a new series I'm doing called Lord of the Ringless. And the number one video I'm going to start out with is going to focus on Tracy McGrady, shooting guard of the Toronto Raptors, the Orlando Magic, and the Houston Rockets. Uh, I want to feature Tracy McGrady because the mainstream media keeps perpetuating this thing about in order to be considered a top great, you have to have won a championship or multiple championships. And they keep setting the bar higher and higher and higher. Because Michael Jordan's the king of the NBA and he has 6 rings, that's the bar that's currently set. Not the 11 by Bill Russell, because that would be absurd to set the bar that high. So they've set it somewhere in between with Michael Jordan and 6 rings. Now, if you don't have not even one, you don't get nowhere near the media coverage that you would get. You know, we all know role players from championship teams. Why? Because they get talked about over and over. Why do we know guys like Will Perdue, Bill Wennington from the Chicago Bulls team? You know, why do we know guys like Mario Chalmers, right? Guys like that. Who else? Shumpert. You know, any guys that was part of Walton, Coach Luke Walton. Anybody that was part of a championship team, role players, you know, that win championships. Robert Ory. If you look at his stats are very pedestrian. But his stats don't tell the story of how he affected the game. And he has about 7 rings, Robert Ory. So if we measured it by rings, Robert Ory would be rated higher than Michael Jordan. So this ring thing is getting ridiculous. So I want to introduce a series of Lord of the Ringless. And starting with Tracy McGrady, and I'm going to go down the list of people that I feel get put to the side by the mainstream media. Now, Tracy's working in the mainstream media right now, so his name is still out there, as you can see. One of the videos up here is him talking about the greatest shooter of all time, Steph Curry. So, you know, his name is up there in that sense. But when they talk about Kobe Bryant, they talk about LeBron James, they talk about Michael Jordan, there's certain guys that they keep leaving out of the conversation and for one reason or another. And it's usually due to 2 reasons. Lack of a championship ring or their career cut short by injury. Right? And he's a part of both categories, Tracy McGrady. So I'm going to just start some of this footage here just to remind you guys and also show the young people that didn't get to see Tracy McGrady play in his prime. That was when he was with the Houston Rockets. This was his last team before his injuries cut his career short. But at one time, Kobe Bryant was neck and neck with Tracy McGrady was neck and neck with Kobe Bryant for the best player in basketball. But injuries cut McGrady's career short, and he had a string of bad luck with injuries both to himself and stars around him, starting with Grant Hill in Orlando. Wow. When Tracy McGrady left the Toronto Raptors here and went to the Orlando Magic here, Grant Hill signed at the same time. Wow. So they were going to be a newer version of Pippen and Jordan. And people were looking forward to this duo. They thought they would bring the Orlando Magic their first championship. But injuries cut that duo short. I'm featuring Tracy McGrady first because I'm looking for the new face of the league. LeBron could only do it for so much longer. I'm looking for a two-way guy that has the sizzle and has the ultimate will to win. This is who I'm looking for, that next guy to carry the NBA. Is it Luka? Is it Giannis? Is it John Morant? Is it Zion Williamson? You guys tell me in the comment, who's that next dude? But if Tracy McGrady was around now, he would be that next guy. A young Tracy. Did you guys see that?
Oh, look at the move. You see this? The creativity behind the back turnaround jumper.
Oh, baby.
Livingston has never seen that before. He doesn't know where it went.
You're damn right he never saw it. I never saw it either. Oh, baby. Sound like my man Mitch Blood Green. With the facial. Wow. Like I said, this was prime Tracy McGrady. At this time, wow. At this time, they were talking about him and Kobe Bryant and possibly Vince Carter as the next faces of the league. It wasn't just all about Kobe Bryant. Of course, this was a little before LeBron got there. Wow, look at that pass. He could do it all, folks. He's another guy like in my Scottie Pippen video. Tracy didn't have no weakness to his game. He could post you, put Kobe Bryant in the spin cycle right there. Banged it on anybody. Gave out a lot of facials. Look at the young LeBron.
How many guys are like this?
He had all the measurables. He was a 6'8" shooting guard. Large hands, a 40-inch vertical, and three-point range on his jump shot. And a consistent, devastating mid-range shooter. As well as a point forward. I mean, listen, this guy, he was incredible. But because he didn't win a championship ring, he never gets brought up in this conversation of greatest of all time. And I'm not saying he should be greatest of all time. But it wasn't just about Kobe Bean Bryant in the 2000s. It wasn't just about Kobe Bryant and LeBron James. Or Tim Duncan either, because he has the rings. McGrady never had the team around him due to injuries in large part. And sometimes they just didn't have all the pieces. He never had the team capable of winning a championship. That's a rare combination, people, a championship team. So many facets have to come together. But clearly, if you were starting a team around this time, you starting it with Tracy McGrady in your starting five. Somewhere. He's either going to play the 2 or the 3, but he's in there. At this time. We're talking about the early 2000s. We're talking about the early 2000s. Late 90s, early 2000s. Up to around, I would say, 2008 or 9. I'm not sure when the injuries finally got the best of him. Oh, Lord. Mama, there goes that man. Yeah, I stole your line, Mark Jackson. Bang! Wow, that was a Houston team that had Olajuwon and Stevie Francis. Yeah, you know, my partner, he has this thing about guys hitting the gym. Oh, he was injured because he didn't hit the gym, baby. He didn't hit the gym. Where do you see fat on this guy? There's not an ounce of fat on this guy. Obviously, he was in shape. A lot has to do with guys getting hurt. Genetics, freakish things that happen on the court or on the field. And to me, you shouldn't penalize guys who had their careers cut short by injury. Great pass to the great Yao Ming. Also a great center of Chinese descent, Yao Ming, whose career was cut short by foot injuries. Yao Ming, at the time, was the best center in the NBA when his career got cut short. McGrady also competed in I think at least one slam dunk contest. He didn't win. I think Vince Carter, his cousin, won. That would be an interesting debate. Who had the better career, Vince Carter or his cousin Tracy McGrady? It's close. It's close. But I like Tracy over Vince. That's just my preference. I mean, with the spacing of today's game, where everybody on the damn team can shoot, right? This guy, he would be what James Harden is doing right now, just torching guys for 35, 40 a night. And it's ironic that they ended up playing for the same team. And he was clutch. He never shied away from the big shot. Wow. Clutch. But I'm going to tell you, the NBA picks and chooses who they really want to push and promote. And they seem to make sure certain pieces fall in place around certain individuals. That's just from what I see. That's just from my perspective. Certain dominoes seem to align for certain guys that the NBA is really banking on. And for a while, I think they were banking on Tracy. But once he started getting hurt, the shift focused to Kobe Bryant. But I'm not going to keep this going too long. You guys can look up his stats. There's other highlight videos of Tracy McGrady on the net. I mean, as far as two guards are concerned, in my book, you have Michael Jordan, you have Kobe Bryant, you have Dwayne Wade, you have Tracy McGrady, and that fifth spot is up for debate. I don't know, maybe you want to put not Oscar Robinson, he was a one, but Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, whoever else in that fifth spot, right? Maybe even some of you younger guys might put Klay Thompson in there or James Harden. Either way, in my book, you cannot leave Tracy McGrady out of that top five as far as shooting guards are concerned. And in my book, he's a top 20 all-time NBA player. Top 20. Pure talent. Any era, he would have done the same thing. You put him in the 70s, he would have dominated even more. You put him in today's game with the floor spacing, he might be averaging 35 points a game very easily. Okay, he averaged 32 points per game in a league where they weren't shooting the three, they weren't spacing the floor, and quite frankly, they weren't as many skilled players. The NBA today, for better or for worse, is leaning toward skilled players. They've almost outlawed the power forward position, meaning the enforcer, the guy that would knock you down, put an elbow in your throat or in your chest when you came through the lane. who would sacrifice himself, get ejected. You know, they find him. He might miss a game and come back. But the thing was to send a message. You're not going to come through here. If teams knew the other team was more skilled than them, like the Detroit Pistons, they would adopt bad boy tactics. You know, fouls, low blows, you know, undercutting you when you went up in the air. You know, just to let you know you wasn't going to embarrass them. You wasn't going to come through the lane dunking on them, sticking your tongue out like Jordan liked to do, or all of them histrionics. You wasn't doing that. That bad boy Pistons team today would be a lottery team. And the reason is they've almost outlawed that style of play because they want to clean the image up in the NBA. When Iverson came through the door, it scared David Stern to death. The then commissioner David Stern. He thought Allen Iverson might single-handedly take the NBA back to the cocaine 70s where ball players were wearing gold chains on the court and sniffing coke all day long before the game and all night long after the game. All right, he was scared to death it would go back to that. They had to clean up the game, in his opinion, and thus importing a whole bunch of foreign players as well that were easy to coach, that were easier for American coaches for them to fall in line than young American players. And this is where they're going. Look at how they're paying guys now. They're paying three-point shooters. If you can shoot the three right now, you're getting paid. All right. If you rebound, if you're a hustle guy, you're a Dennis Rodman guy, you a Ben Wallace guy, you're getting minimum wage in the NBA right now. Okay, they don't give a damn about Defensive Player of the Year unless it belongs to Giannis, who's scoring 28 points a game. That's just the way the game is going right now. So, yeah, that's it, guys. It's a little long-winded, but I wanted to give Tracy McGrady his due. You know, he's one of the Lord of the Ringless, one of the greatest players to ever play the basketball on earth, but doesn't get his shine and his due because he doesn't have a championship ring. All right, Red Roller out. See you guys.